Welcome to another Dragonlance Hangout. It is Kirinor Frost Cult III. My name is Adam, and today we are being joined once again by friend of the show, talented illustrator Mike Perry. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to talk a
Great.
little Dragonlance again, or
Yes, yes.
to
It's already
continue
it's only
our
been a week, but it seems too long.
yeah. Before we dive in, I would like to give a quick moment to thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons and invite you to consider becoming a patron or a member. You can even pick up Dragonlance Media using my affiliate links in the description below. So, Chris, thanks for tuning in live. DXD4DL, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. We're going to be talking about, we're just be continuing our conversation from last week, really. But we started. There's something you showed before. Do
Oh,
you want to
right.
showcase that again?
So I found this. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get on camera
Yeah.
here. This is the old PC game Dragons of Flame. I found this on my in a box downstairs, and
It's
like
great.
it's so old. It was on 5 1/4 discs, and you needed two of them to play the game. And
That's how
yeah, it's
advanced it
this is
was.
this is pretty old school.
That's
And
great.
yeah, it
That is
was
so awesome.
yeah.
I remember
It's
those
fun.
5 1/4 inch floppies. A buddy of mine had King's Quest. I think it's
Hmm.
called King's Quest. I'm just going off memory here, but yeah, we used to play that on that as well. Just
Hmm.
great games. And I've tried to play the ported version of that for modern computers, and it just killed me. So it was very hard.
You know what was a like? Well, what was a really great PC game back in the day was Zork. Do you remember playing
I
Zork and
don't.
Return to Zork? Okay, so it was like a fantasy RPG game, but there was no graphics. It was just text. So you would say
Oh,
forward, and then the computer would respond, "You walk forward," and then you have come across a well, and then you'd have to ask it questions. Tell me about the well. What is on the well? What is in the well? What's beside it? And then it would paint this picture. Well, there's a rope, and then you could, what do I do with this rope? Do I pull on it, or do I climb down the rope? And then you climb down the rope, and then you're in this cave, and so it was really addictive. It was a lot of fun.
would
It
it
really sparked
prompt
your
you with
imagination.
options, or did it leave it totally up to you?
No, it left it up to you. It was a
Oh
nightmare because sometimes
wow.
you'd be sitting there going, like, you were saying King's Quest. I used to play Space Quest quite a bit.
Oh
And
cool.
there'd be times it'd be completely unintuitive. You have no idea what you're doing or why. And then you'd have to type in the right command at the right point, and if you didn't do it, you're dead.
Yeah.
And how would you know that unless some other kid on the playground could give you the scoop on what to do? Because those games back then, we didn't have game magazines so much for PC
Yeah.
games. I don't think we
No.
didn't have the internet, so really it was like who you knew and what you did, and this guy tried this, and I mean, that was half the fun. It kept you
Yeah.
going. I was gonna say there was one thing that really struck me in the manual. It's like, just to play the game, they want you to back up the floppy disk.
Right.
So nowadays they would call that pirating. But
Yeah.
they actually
Yeah.
tell you, once you get the game, copy the disk and only play off your backups,
Mm.
because disks get fouled up all the time. And I remember playing at a buddy's house, and his dad had cases of original game, like
Oh
his games
wow.
software. He was a software developer type guy, so he had all these locked cases with the original floppies in them, and then we
Right.
were only playing off the backups. And those old games, like Pool of Radiance, Champions of Krynn, they
Yeah.
took between 4 and 8 discs, I think, just to
Mm-hmm.
play the game. And you're always swapping them out, and one of them scratched, or you can't find the one that you're looking for, and you feel like you're running out of time. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Did Yeah, I think. Did anybody watching, have you guys played any of those SSI games, those old Dragonlance games or Champions of Krynn?
Yeah, you got to let us know in the comments. I know that Chris has played
Yeah,
War of the Lance, the old
yeah.
ported game of that, because he has been beating me at it. we
Oh,
we did one live play of like half the game, at least I think it was half the game, and we still have the other
okay,
half to
okay.
finish. But he was just decimating me, and yeah,
Oh,
not really looking
these games
forward
were.
to getting beat. So maybe I'll just never do it
Well,
again.
it's fun. One thing about these old games is they're actually difficult. Adam and I were kind of talking before we got on about how difficult Dragons of Flame was, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get anywhere with it. And I back in those days, you didn't know about computer specs, right? So I saw the game at the Radio Shack in Edmonton, so I bought it, brought it home, and it didn't work on my computer. And I didn't
Hmm.
upgrade my computer. I couldn't go to a friend's house, and like, so I had this game sitting on my shelf forever. And then years later, I finally got a new computer or what have you, and then I tried playing it. I'm like, this game's really hard, and my computer had almost gotten too good to play this old software.
Wow,
Like
yeah.
this is the way things changed back then.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
and they were
That
very
and
proprietary with their code. So if you went from an IBM
mhm.
PC to like Apple Macintosh, you couldn't play
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the instructions here are for a Tandy 16 color.
Right.
I
Everything's so
had a
crazy.
Tandy, a green Tandy. It was green. Like everything was green, and
Wow.
the only games I had on that was the Champions of Krynn games and Space Quest. Actually, no, Champions of Krynn
Wow.
must have been later on because that was newer. But anyways, we're old guys.
Yeah.
How can you
Yeah,
tell?
for
We're
sure.
talking about old floppy games.
That's okay. Those
But
are some of the
yeah.
best
Hmm.
memories because it was so hard,
Hmm.
and you were like a rock star if you could get past stuff. And so, like through middle school and stuff, if you knew someone who understood those, like, oh no, you have to do these commands, or they had some sort of like cheat codes or something, that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Having the secret
Yeah.
knowledge, and especially like in the Nintendo days of knowing like any sort of secret codes, like with Contra and stuff. That was a big
Mm.
deal back in the day too.
Everybody knew that code. So
Right, it
I
became
remember the
like
first time.
popular.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw the code, my mind was blown, right? And then then it became everybody and their dog knew what the Contra code was.
Hmm.
But yeah, you'd have the different codes, or some guys would have like a save code from the ultimate save game for Mega Man or something, and then you would write it down, and then someone would borrow it, and it was different. Gaming was different back then, and
Hmm.
I kind of I was listening to an interesting YouTube about this, how guys our age and younger aren't really getting into gaming as much. They're kind of losing touch, and they're having a hard time finding games they like. And I think it's because they're so different. They're not as pick up and play. Like we could just pick up and play Space Quest for an hour, 45 minutes, and go do our thing.
Yeah.
It's hard. You might not ever beat it. Some games took me years to beat just because I got fed up and walked away.
Hmm.
But now it's like you're kind of on, they give you a tutorial, you're on rails, and then you spend 80 hours just kind of grinding through the game. And sometimes it's nice to sit down, play for 20 minutes, go away, come back. That was one of the points the guy had made. But
Yeah. Well, there's
I don't know
also
if they
the
made a
idea.
Dragonlance game, I'd be in.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would carve out time for that for sure. But
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm,
as a kid, like reflecting back, I don't think I had the mindset of, oh, I need to beat this game. It was just, oh, I'm
mm-hmm,
going to play this game, because it was never about I have to get to that end boss battle and defeat it. It was how far can I get? Can I get a little further than I did
mm-hmm.
last time? Because I never thought I would ever beat these dang games because they were so difficult. If you died, you had to go back to the very beginning again and do the whole thing over
Yeah,
again. It was so hard.
finishing a game was a mega achievement.
Hmm.
It was something you rarely, and if you could claim that you had done it, and there's always like one kid who claimed that he'd beaten all these games, and he was lying through his teeth, but he did it just to get that street credit on the playground, right?
Right.
And yeah, it was fun. It was just I don't know, a kids game like that now. Like my kids, they don't talk about it in the
Mm-mm.
same way. My eldest daughter, she plays some games online, but it's more just grinding through it, and then she'll play with her friends, and they'll just, oh, there's a new character being released, and or a new this or whatever. But it's not about achieving, like finishing the story, or
Right.
it's just about hanging out with her friends, kind of thing. So
Yeah, for sure. Which is cool too. I mean,
yeah, it's just different.
having it as a
It's
social
gone.
experience, because it was very much a social
Yeah.
experience when we were kids too. We'd be all sitting around one computer or one video, console, and just sort of taking turns, or if it was two-player, waiting for your turn to come up, or just playing together and stuff, depending on the game, and you're just waiting for
Well, I
your
got a
turn.
question for you.
Yeah.
What was the snack of choice when you were playing
Oh
Champions of Krynn?
man, dude, my family sucked. I think it was like saltines.
Oh, hey, no, no. I was gonna say. So I used to hang out at this guy Kevin's house, and we'd play Pool of Radiance, like sleep over, and we just sit there, and he'd be playing Pool of Radiance, and I'd just be sitting beside him, and we just went through boxes of stoned wheat thin crackers. Like
Right.
that was all. It's all he had. No cheese, no nothing
Mm.
on it, just plain dry crackers and maybe Kool-Aid. I don't know. We
Yeah.
were just.
We always had
And
Crystal
it's
Light
funny, right?
in our house for some
Crystal
reason.
Light.
My
Oh
mom
yeah, I remember
loved
that.
Crystal Light for some reason. Weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. it's funny what you remember, but
Yeah.
those types of things really, those memories still stay pretty fresh.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I still keep a box of those crackers around just for game night.
Just make sure they're just as stale as possible.
Yeah, it's
Just for the
it's
nostalgia.
ultra authentic. Yeah, yeah. These are actually dated from 1989. I just keep one box, and it's funny. His brother was the guy who got me into Dragonlance modules at the time.
Oh,
So
wow.
everyone's got that cool older brother who's always
Mm-hmm.
into the stuff, and so he had a brother who was into D&D. I don't know if he played it too much, but he had a ton of Dragonlance modules,
Oh, wow.
and he ended up giving some of them to me. So I got Dragons of Triumph and Dragons of Light
Oh,
and Dragons of
cool.
Dreams. I think he just, and I didn't get any of the accessories. It was just the paper module,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he just, here, you can have this. I don't need it. And of course, I
Wow.
was, oh, this is awesome. And yeah, so that was the first time I got exposed to the modules.
Yeah.
And then his mom was really cool. This Kevin guy, there was one place in town that sold D&D stuff. And I don't know if I've talked about this before on a previous chat with you, but it was called the Sentry Box, and it was, we're talking downtown Calgary, which is normal American city,
Mm-hmm.
but it had this two-door house in the middle of a neighborhood in the central Calgary, kind of off the beaten trail,
Yeah.
and it was a two-door style house, so it had the
Wow.
cross braces for the beams and the plaster, and then you walk in, and it was like walking into Elminster's Tower, right? It was
Ah.
just floor to ceiling miniatures, and it smelled like cigarettes and old carpets and books. And it was just, I remember going in that place, and it was because it was far away. It was like we had to schedule this, and Kevin's mom had to endure taking all these hyperactive kids to the place, and you had all your allowance you saved up, and they had this big glass case of miniatures that some were pre-painted, and you just
Oh, wow.
smash your face against the case and be like, oh, and
Mm-hmm.
it was such a cool store. I mean, it's so different compared to like now if you go into a games workshop, it's very sterile, and they've got
Yeah.
they're nice clean shelves, and it feels kind of like a computer store. It doesn't have that vibe to it. It doesn't
Yeah.
have that, I don't know. So did you have a store that you used to go to?
Yeah, there was one up in the avenues. So Salt Lake is basically like just a grid that goes out from Temple Square, this massive Mormon temple. But if you go up a sort of like northeastern area, it goes into this sort of mountain foothills area right before it hits the Wasatch Mountains, and it's just avenues. So it's we call it avenues because that's the names of the streets, but it's compacted and just it's sort of like downtown in any town, but there's like this little living area in the downtown space. And in one of the buildings was this game shop, and you sort of went in the door, and it had that stupid door ring chime whenever you opened it, and you had to go downstairs and turn a corner, so it was like you're going to this dungeon or something, and you're
Oh
around the
wow, yeah,
corner, and
yeah.
it's just like nerd room everywhere. There's a big like green felted table, like it wasn't like
Hmm.
poker shaped, it was just like a long like picnic table with green felt on it, and they had like glass
So they hosted
cases.
games.
Yeah, yeah. So you could do like war games and stuff on it and stuff like that. Um,
Okay.
but glass cases, and that's where I first saw the second edition version of the modules for the DL modules that had like 4 in each one. And I
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was playing second edition at the time, and so I found those. I was like, oh, it was like it was like uncovering like gold if you were
Oh, yeah.
panning for
Yeah.
gold back in the turn of the century or something. I just felt like I had like hit, and the thing is, like, I was working at the time, but I was also having to pay for an apartment because I wasn't a kid. I was like a young man. I mean, I was a kid compared to where I am now, but I had to pay rent, and so I couldn't afford to buy all the modules at once. And then they had like the
Hmm.
Toleda's modules there as well, and I bought a bunch of those, and it was just like the coolest place to go because it had all the stuff for Dragonlance in a time when um, it was just as far as I knew, me and my friends who knew about Dragonlance, because I didn't know anyone else.
Hmm.
There was no internet or anything like that. It was, I mean,
Hmm.
this is like circa 95 or something. And so it was just,
Dragonlance was 10 years old then too, so
yeah,
a lot of that was old stock, I imagine. I mean, like they reissued the modules, but
right.
to get like the miniatures and things, I don't know if they were still producing the Heroes
Yeah.
box set at that time. Like if they had them, you probably got one that was produced back in the day, and they just had stock of it. I don't know. I don't know how that worked, but for me, it was kind of the same thing. I got into it younger,
Mm-hmm.
but even then, anything Dragonlance was sort of after the first wave.
Yeah.
After the first, like it came out in '84, right? So they had all the modules and the game supplements and everything. And then there was that wave of it. And then by the time I came around to it, it was just all you really were getting were calendars,
Yeah.
the new
Yeah.
calendars and new books. There wasn't any products really that you could get.
I love the
At least
calendars.
I don't remember.
Just staring at the
Yeah,
artwork.
they were pretty cool.
God, I
Yeah,
love
they
that
were
so much.
pretty cool.
Well, let's look at some of the comments here.
Sure.
M. Barished, thanks for tuning in. Dragonlance fan, first time listener. Thanks for listening. we have cameras on too. You can watch. Just two old guys chatting. Any case, thanks for tuning in. If you want to ever game, if you want to join us as a gamer, shoot me an email, info@dlsaga.com, and whenever I have a next game coming up, I'll email you about it. The best code you had to enter to play a game, you needed the manual to enter the third word in the second paragraph, etc. For those old gold box games. Yeah, that was brutal. Just furnish the
Are you
third
talking about the wheel?
What's that?
The wheel? The ones where you had to spin the wheel and then adjust the
Oh no, that would be cool
Cooler
too.
had like a code.
In the old IBM like Champions of Krynn, for example, when you first boot up the game, it would ask you what is the X word in X page in the X paragraph, and you would have to find that and then type it in, and then it was like, okay, this is a legal copy. Now you can play.
Okay, yeah.
It's just ridiculous stuff. Let's see. DXD played him to death. Let's see. Pool of Radiance was awesome, says Gordon. Thanks for tuning in, man. War of the Lance. Chris is whipping my butt at it. Let's see. Does anyone remember the Bard's Tale? Yes, I remember Bard's Tale for sure. Hey, Corey, thanks for tuning in live. Hobgobs and Minotaurs allied with the good guys. Thanks for that, Chris. I don't know what that's in reference to. Hobgobs and Minotaurs allied. Oh, that's the War of the Lance, what he did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, Baylane99, thanks for tuning in. You still play Bard's Tale now and then. That's cool. I love revisiting those old games. Corey's playing Skyrim right now. I've never actually played that. I've seen it, but I've never actually played it.
Oh, it's a fun game.
King's Quest affected Chris's life. He thought there was a single item to find to give each person in his life. You liked that there were fewer games and movies and TV because kids experience things at the same time, unlike now. Yep. Goldman, thanks for tuning in. Split screen isn't really a thing anymore in video games since everything is online. Yeah, for sure. DXD ate Slim Jims as his go-to snack. That's better than crackers. What I was rocking.
Every time you can't do the what's Macho Man Savage, Randy Savage, slap it to a Slim Jim. You know, 100%. I still can't even see a Slim Jim without saying that voice badly.
Chris had magic middles. I don't even know what that is. Do you? Is
Nope, sounds great.
I've never heard of it. Let's see. What else? Did you hear Calgary? Yes, Belen. He said, that's your hometown? Oh, nice. Sentry Box.
Nice.
Because there's no internet on advertisements that you were aware of. Every trip to the hobby store every few months was magical. Yeah, for sure. Back in the mid-90s, you were in Edmonton, found a store that was selling old D&D stuff and picked up the original DL stories for about $3 per book. That's a deal. That's awesome. Word of mouth helped out Corey to get into D&D. Anyone remember reading your Choose Your Own Adventure books? Yes, I read so many of those. I think there was I don't know if it was actually the brand of, now it just wiped out of my mind. The Hardy Brothers or Hardy Boys or whatever it was.
Yep.
But there was horror versions of those where they went into an Egyptian tomb or something. I distinctly remember in 5th grade reading a whole bunch of those. That was my go-to game or books at the time. It's just.
You ever get sick of dying all the time in the Choose Your Own Adventure and then read through it to find the pages where you weren't going to die?
Yeah.
I did that once with one. I just got fed up because I read it all these, and every single time I tried to read it, I would just get something would happen to me, and I could never get a happy ending or I couldn't progress. So I finally started flipping through the book. I'm like, okay, well this page is a decent ending, and I worked my way back.
You're backward engineering it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was frustrating, right? Because I love Choose Your Own Adventures; they're a lot of fun, but I just also felt like I was cheating a little, which is 9-year-old me thought I was being pretty clever.
They'll never
Choose
know
Your
I
Own
did
Adventures
it.
yeah, you can't find them anymore at all. I know when my daughter was starting to read, and I thought these would be fun for her to read, just because it was a fun sort of activity. Yeah. And I couldn't find them anywhere. And I remember talking to some guy at a used bookstore, and he had there's a reason why they're hard to find. I don't remember what it is. Maybe someone following along knows. But yeah, they're really hard to find now. I don't know if it's because they're not very common or there was some trademark issue or,
Right.
whatever, or people hold on to them,
Mm-hmm.
that could be it. So
TSR even
they
did
were
a
great.
series of them that were like romance versions, and I even read those. I didn't care. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was like always like these fantasy women on the covers, but it was just like
Mhm,
their, the bust of them.
mhm,
So they were like pretty and like, romantic looking, and it was all bright
mhm,
pastel
mhm,
colors or white. And yeah,
mhm.
I was a total
If
nerd with
anything
that
Dungeons
stuff.
and Dragons, Adam was all over it.
100%. I
Well
love
done.
that stuff so much.
Well done.
All right, so let's talk about a couple more of these images. There's one that I really,
Sure.
really want to talk about, but we'll go with
Right.
Silvara
Okay. Sure.
because she was the first one to pop
So,
up.
okay. Well, I did her. There's a guy, Dave of Wisconsin. He's a follower of mine on Twitter. A really nice
Oh,
guy,
nice.
and
Hi, Dave.
she's his absolute favorite character. So he had asked, "Are you going to do Silvara?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm on it." And so I cranked her out, and this was, because Dave asked, he wanted to see Silvara, and this is what I came up with. And I like how she turned out.
Lucky Dave.
I
Yeah, she looks good.
Yeah, I was trying to go. I was looking at the trying to split the difference from when we first see her in the books because she's wearing ragged, castaway clothes,
Mhm.
versus how we see her in the game modules. They have her in some kind of leather armor,
Right.
and so I was trying to kind of split the difference and carry some of those design elements from the armor into her sporran there and a few other
Right.
things.
No, it's great. Her face, I can't place it, but she reminds me of someone.
Well, that's because she's supposed to.
Well,
I base them off of actors from that time period, and
oh,
I've
nice.
read in the comments that some people find that they don't care for that approach, but that's cool. But the whole concept for me was like, if this was made in the time, and who would I cast in it? And
Right.
I keep imagining. Do you remember that old television series North and South? It was on
Yeah.
TV back in the
Yeah.
80s. Yeah, Civil War
Yep.
drama, and the trailer still keeps going through my mind. It's like Patrick Swayze, whatever. So that just the way they do the voices. So
Yep.
I keep imagining Dragonlance, starring, it just. These are the weird things that go through my head, but yeah, it's an actress from the time. She was pretty well known, but I don't know if I want to spill the beans.
That's okay.
But once you see it, you'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you.
Well, for those that
You'll
know,
okay.
keep it to your, keep your cards in your chest. Don't let people know.
Well, it keeps the conversation going, which is kind of fun for me too, right?
Yeah.
Then we guess, figure it out, and then talk
Yeah,
about
it
it.
just always reminds me. Every time I think of Silvara, no matter where, I mean, there's a whole game book about Silvara and Gilthanas going into Sanction and underneath the temples and finding the good dragon
Mhm.
eggs. And I played that back in the day too. It was actually the first Dragonlance choose your own adventure styled game that I ever had. But I always think of her when she's taking a bath in the pond. Like,
Yep.
I
Yep.
can't not think of it. It's just burned into my young
Yep.
brain, and it's never gone
Mhm.
away. So,
Yep.
just the
Yep.
sort of like the tunic or whatever that's called, that she has thrown over herself is the perfect clothing for that. I imagine she just got out and just put it on, scolding
Mhm.
Gilthanas for staring at her all slack-jawed. And
But
we got
kind of
Tanis.
not sad about it either.
I
But yeah,
really,
now we
I like
you like
this.
this tennis?
I like the
Great.
armor. Like is that
Mhm.
banded?
Um,
I don't know what it's
well, he's
called.
described as having leather armor,
Mhm.
right?
It just looks like it has
In
little plates
the
on it, or is
modules.
that extra leather?
Yeah, yeah, it's basically leather plates riveted, or sorry, steel covered leather plates riveted on. I can't remember the term for that type of armor, but I saw some and I thought this would be great for Tanis. I was thinking about his clothing, right? Because he is technically, or not technically, but he was raised by the king, the speaker
Mm-hmm.
of the Suns, right? So he's effectively a prince, and
Yeah.
so he would have had his sword was probably from the royal armories. His equipment probably came from that and was of that quality.
Oh,
So
nice.
I think of things like his sword would be from like an elven sword, but then I was thinking his armor and things, maybe Flint made it for him. And Flint
Right.
has studded leather. So I thought, well, maybe Flint made him some type of leather armor. And I put a gambeson on underneath, just to kind of complete the look. I didn't like he looks too much like a ranger in the typical illustrations of him.
Right.
And he's not, I mean, I don't see him quite like that. Like, I didn't feel like feathers in his hair and stuff. That doesn't really fit with him in my imagination. I
Right.
think of him more princely. And I mean, you got to keep the headband. It's iconic, and the green cloak. And I moved that Celtic. He has sort of a leather. He's wearing like a leather buckskin tunic in the Elmore, the first illustration of him, with a Celtic design on his, I guess, between his belt and his knees. It's pretty prominent symbol. So instead I moved it onto his leather bracers. So he still has these design elements and the color scheme and everything, but I tried to change it up and just shake him up a little visually.
Yeah.
And make him look a little less like a plainsman.
Right.
And more like a fighter and a hero and the character he is,
Yeah. Yeah, people always confuse Riverwind and Tanis with one being the warrior, one being the ranger, and they're always wrong, and it's supposed to be the other way. Like, Riverwind's the ranger.
And it's those type, like this guy definitely looks less ranger if you compare him next to Riverwind.
Yeah.
They're different. They're from different cultures. They have different experiences and different weapons. And again, Riverwind kind of has the same weapons: a sword, bow. He's got a headband. It's easy to confuse the two of them.
Yeah. Well, it looks like DXD4DL is Dave of Wisconsin, unless it's like,
oh, hey, Dave.
We're all Dave,
Yeah.
We're all Dave from Wisconsin.
Nice.
No, I like that a lot. The armor looks great. And, oh, yeah! Theros Ironfeld. I know that face from somewhere.
Yeah, everybody guessed that guy. And I'll spill the beans on this one because it's all over. Rocky Thompson, the Rock's dad. That's who I chose. I thought would make a good Rock. And surprisingly, got quite a reaction from people online. Like, they knew who he was, and I'm not sure if they were happy that I used him or not as a character. But yeah, I don't know. I think so, but it was just kind of, there was a lot of chatter, people recognizing Rocky Thompson. I didn't think he was that popular of a guy, to be honest. I know he was a wrestler, but I don't think of him as a classic 80s. Like, in the 80s, I used to watch a lot of WWF as a kid, and I don't even remember him being around.
I don't either. But, the face is familiar, and so that's the only thing that like connected with me. I didn't even know who it was specifically. Let me ask you about that, because you as an artist, you're making choices based on what your own inspiration and your own sort of take on the character. So it is a very personal thing for you to make the choices that you make, and you're doing it for fun. No one's like overtly paying you to do this. So how does it bother you, or do you like it when there's a little bit of controversy over a particular illustration?
No, I mean, I don't. Like, I think I said before, constructive criticism is great, and feedback's great, and I'm grateful that anyone wants to take the time and look at my work and say something about it. So no, it doesn't bother me as long as we're all nice to each other, like respectful. And I don't think I've had anybody give me a hard time. Just people who are passionate fans disagree, and that's great because that also gets me thinking about things. It challenges me to think about things differently, and I appreciate that because I miss things, and people have good ideas. Like Dragonlance itself was created by a team. It wasn't just Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. It was a whole team, and I think that's why it's such a successful IP, because there was so much more input, and they were able to flesh things out. So no, I don't get bothered when people offer insight or opinions about the work. And it's funny, like I remember one guy, he said with Theros, he's like, well, he doesn't have proper footwear, like proper, not like blacksmith. I don't remember, like PPE. He's got to have proper, steel toes if he's blacksmithing.
Right.
And he's just wearing leather shoes. I said, that's a good point, but I don't know. Did they have steel toes back in the day? I don't remember. But
you just walk around like full plate armor boots.
I don't know. Did blacksmiths wear protective footwear?
I don't think so. I can't.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that are fun about concept design and concept art, though, too, is because you ask those questions.
Right.
And if you're lucky, whoever would know what that answer is will tell you and help you out. And, I imagine they probably had thick leather shoes because there'd be, slag place. They had thick leather apron. They'd have all kinds of things like
Yeah.
that. One thing I didn't go into and I deliberately designed is we don't see how that arm attaches to his body.
Right.
It's never really described how do you attach an arm to the body and how that would work. So I'm like, he's got sleeves.
We're going to avoid that problem.
Yeah, we're not going to answer that question. We'll leave it as a mystery, And but I was trying to go away from that classic '80s Cyclops arm
Mm-hmm.
with the banding on it that you see with the X-Men.
Yep.
I think of it more like it's not mechanical.
Yeah.
I never imagined it as mechanical with nuts and bolts. I imagined it literally as an organic silver arm, something just that's more fantastical.
It's supposed to be
me
magical,
so.
I mean, like a
Yeah,
gift from
yeah,
the gods or something.
yeah.
Corey brings up a good point. You could make a calendar with all these pictures. Have you ever thought about doing a
Yeah,
calendar with all your work?
I have actually. My wife and I were talking about that not that long ago, and it's too late for me to get one going for 2026, but maybe I'll put one together for 2020.
That would be cool.
If there's enough of an interest, and I'll have to start putting things together and make something happen. And I think that'd be fun.
Let
And
us know in the comments
you
if
know,
people are into it and if you would pick up a calendar. Let us know.
yeah, or even a compilation book with all the characters in it, or my sketch, like some kind of art book related to this work. If there's something that you'd
That
like
would
to
be
see me
awesome.
produce, yeah, it'd be fun to do. And I've done something like that before. I always like those books myself, so
Mm-hmm.
it'd be kind of cool to put all these things together. And I like the process parts, and I have a huge collection of art books, so
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
love
with
that
you.
stuff.
I think that
Yeah.
would be awesome. I think I would almost prefer an art book to a calendar personally.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
you
You can get a
have
lot
more
more into an art
space.
book.
Yeah, you have more space to really explore because and this is something that we haven't really focused on with these sort of character pictures, but you have whole sheets of expressions and
Mhm.
character sheets of like their entire 3D version of their bodies, and I mean you've gone above and beyond with all this stuff. In fact, let's jump
Yeah,
over to show some of that because you
sure.
went through so much effort to put stuff like this together. It's just stunning. I mean, you got color palettes for the characters. I mean, a full 3D version of the headshot and the body shots of Stern. Stern looks great, by the way. I mean, just
Thank you.
awesome. And the armor is great. I love all the etchings and engravings.
I love concept design and character design. It's no one's paying me to do this, and I do it because it's fun. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it quite a bit, and I love these characters, and I wanted to put them this is me completely wrapping my head around what these guys look like, and
Right.
you know, illustrating them without their helmets, without their hoods, without their gear. What do they look like underneath that stuff? What does Stern's dagger look like? That stuff is uh,
It's not a
it's all
euphemism, is
fun
it?
for me. I don't know, but it's fun, and
Yeah.
it's seeing these characters completely realized is you know uh, dream. Like this is me. This is like
100%.
9-year-old me, 10-year-old me. Like this is what I think Stern would look like, and this would be so cool. So I haven't
No.
really grown up. I'm just older.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I got
Yeah,
some gray in the beard, but other than that, I'm the same kid
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I ever was.
This is, I
Oh,
mean, Elliston.
yeah,
Go
we've
ahead.
got the wrong name at the very bottom, just as a quick note. But
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have a template, and I just swap out names, and I must have just forgot to do that.
that's all good. I
It
love the
happens.
hair. Like he looks great, and I love that
That's
3D view.
Yeah, he's not a character that I know Margaret Weiss has said she doesn't like writing him because he's just so good and boring. But he's a really important character in the story,
Mm-hmm.
and you can play him in the
Yep.
games, and there's a room compared to some of the other heroes of the Lance. There's room to really do stuff with Elliston. So, I was having fun. I think he wouldn't have a fancy mace or a warhammer. He wouldn't have a fancy shield. I went and designed his medallion, and if you look really close, I based it off the original TS. One of the TSR logos.
Right.
You know, the
Yeah,
dragon. So I based it. I figured it seems fitting
that's great.
that Paladine's logo would be similar to the TSR dragon. So yeah, you know, I like to throw in those types of things.
Oh, I love it. I think it looks so good. Yes. Yes. The High Lord
Yeah.
Fieldthas. We finally see. So I remember you and I sitting down and just sort of concepting the idea of what he might look like, sketching it up in
Mhm.
a previous episode. And to see
Mhm.
this like fully realized finished piece is just stunning. He looks
Yeah, it's
vicious and conniving and is smart and like it's
yeah.
crazy. You get all that just from an expression.
This is yeah, and this is again like this is how I imagined him. And
Mhm.
literally as a kid, I didn't imagine him with that clothing, but this is sort of like look at his face, that sort of look, you know, and the way he's carrying himself and he's holding the dragon orb, like he is
Mhm.
completely in control. He is the first time I read through the module and you know what he does and what he's capable of. I mean, I was intimidated by this guy. This guy's he's a real tough cookie. And
Mhm.
when you read through the other books, it's like if you read through the tales, there's a story where he's like, and the illustration makes him look like this, you know, freaky old elf with a long white beard, and it's just weird. And the other one, he transforms into a wolf and does things. No, you know, like that's not how I imagine Fieldfast. Like I imagine him as this. You know, he'll get in there, he'll cast spells at you and cut you down with the sword, and you'll thank him
And
because
you'll
he's
thank him. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
yeah, because he's just so bad. But yeah, I just you and I mean, this is a good one too for anyone who's interested in more of the work you and I've done. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the first chats you and I had, our second chats, we concept designed this guy together, and we went through the process and explored different ways to iterate him. And then after that, I took it back and then I worked on it some more and
Yeah.
presented it. And I'm still tinkering on it because I don't think like I've gone ahead and refined his sword design and tightened things up, and I've done turnarounds. And
Yeah.
the
I'll
turnarounds are
say
good
mine
too
was like
because
0.1% and yours was the 99.9%.
well, it was, you know, we did it as a collaboration. Like that was half the fun to
Right.
talk about him and draw, and then what do you see, what do I see, and
Mhm.
you know that kind of thing.
And what I love about doing that type of process in general, but especially when I'm doing it with you, is that everything has to work as if it's a living being. You know, I mean, the reason why the robe has to be split, he's got to ride a dragon. You know, he's got to be able to be
Yes.
maneuverable. Like everything has to have logic to it. And I love that when you, specifically, when you are sort of concept designing something, there's always logic behind it. It's not just, ooh, this would look
Yeah.
cool, you know?
Well, that's just how my mind works. And if
Mhm.
something breaks logic, it ruins the fantasy. Like
Yeah. And that's a
it's
funny
fantasy,
sentence, too.
yeah. It is. It is. It's sort of, you know, it doesn't really work. But if like things like characters with swords that are 3 times bigger than their body weight, that doesn't
Right.
make any sense to me. I just don't understand how that would work, and they lose me.
It's the
Or
whole Final
fantasy
Fantasy thing.
worlds, yeah, like it's entertaining, it's visually cool, but it's not for me.
Mm.
I'm very much a realist fantasy where the characters all are grounded, and you know they gravity works on them, and they
Right.
get hungry and they sleep, and they, you know, there's encumbrance rules and things like that. Like that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
And you know when they make things like I have a really hard time with Krynn, how their money steal. That just makes no sense to me at all. And
Everyone has a
I
problem
can't.
with that.
Yeah, I just pretend it's not like it's something else. They just call it steel. I don't know.
Right.
I just try not to think about it because when you really think about it, then maybe all of their weapons would be made out of bronze, right? Why would you use, you know? It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fight this guy with my life savings. It doesn't make
Ah,
sense to me. But
right.
you know, you break it in a fight maybe, or you lose it, and then oh my goodness, all my value, all my wealth is fell in the river.
Yep,
You know, like it
absolutely.
just doesn't make sense.
That's funny.
But
Fighting each other with gold bars. Just throwing them at each
exactly.
other.
It's just I don't know. It's a design flaw.
Mhm.
I think of the game. You know, I think if the authors went back and really thought about it, they probably I understand what they were doing,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't work from a this doesn't make sense to me.
I like this version of Flint because he does look old. You know, I mean, he's
Mhm.
got the gray in the beard. The hair is sort of grayish and white. Like he looks like he's seen years. And the Flint that we always see is like still nice and brown and in his beard, and he doesn't look like that. He's having a heart attack every time he does something exciting, and he just doesn't
Yeah,
look that old. But this, he looks dignified and aged, and I like it.
he's a veteran.
Yeah.
He still can kick butt, but he's past his prime. But he's still game. I like that about the character that
Mhm.
he's an older guy who's still in the fight and
He like
doesn't
trains
have
the
any
heroes,
quit in him.
the kids.
Yeah, well, he's very much a father figure to all of them, or
Mhm.
grandfather figure in some ways, and you know, I, I've always enjoyed him as a character, and yeah, it's funny. The first time I painted a miniature, I painted him with brown or with a brown beard, just like
Mhm.
you were saying. Then later on, I saw someone else had painted a depiction of him with a white beard. Wait, it's wrong. Wait, hold on. Then I thought about it, and then like my brain kind of melted. So like, wait, he is old, but
Right.
wait, they describe him as old in the books. Like his characterization is pretty much like a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
You know, I should have put who's the guy from the movie Grumpy Old Man?
Oh,
With
right.
the
I know what you're talking
got the
about, but
face.
I don't know the name of the
What's
actor.
his name? Odd Couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly who you
I'll,
mean.
it'll come to me, but I should have cast him as Flint. What are you doing, Wilson?
Doesn't
That
work.
wouldn't have been a bad Flint. Yeah, but
Hey, Gork, thanks for tuning in. Your table two, it's a burdensome mechanic. You must meet. Oh, the steel. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Tasselhoff looks great. Goofy, silly, happy. Is that
yeah.
Rabbit Slayer?
He's It is. You got that. Nice. I had to do it. I was thinking, well, what other equipment does Taz have? He's got millions of pouches, and he's got his map
Mm-hmm.
case and his hoop hack, and then Rabbit Slayer, which is iconic.
Yeah.
I almost imagine it. It's just a kind of run of the mill hunting knife. You know, Everyone's grandpa has something like that. On the workbench. At least mine did.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
I didn't think of it as anything fancy or big, and it doesn't look like you would actually use it for combat. So I had fun just kind of thinking about those. And these are things I think about, like what kind of buttons would Tass have, and how would he? I put him in puttees instead of
Mhm.
just different things. I like to think about how these guys would dress, and I
Yeah.
got rid of but he has a bun or a top knot. Like to me,
Mhm.
that's a knot of hair on the top of your head.
Right.
That sometimes he's drawn with this giant, big, floppy ponytail out of the top of his head. I thought I wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
It's very distracting as a design element, and it does look goofy. But if I was adventuring all the time, having my hair in my face would just be.
Yeah, and everyone grabbing it and pulling you back. I mean, Flint does that to
Yeah,
Tasselhoff. It seems like everyone just grabs him by the top knot all the time.
or pat it like he's some sort of dog.
Yeah.
That's weird too. Or stroke his top knot. I'm like, that's okay. I
I
don't know if
love
I'd
the
appreciate that.
yeah. Well, the number of pouches is good. There's a comment from Goldman about how she loves the number of pouches. I love the eclectic type of pouches that he's got.
Mhm.
All sorts of types. It's not just like one bandolier with the same, pouch
Yeah,
repeated. Like there's all sorts of even
yeah,
a little map case in the back.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's such an integral part of his character, right?
Yeah.
He's always carrying his maps, and I didn't imagine it. I imagine it like you roll maps up.
Hmm.
Back then, I like folding maps, and I hate lines in maps.
Yep.
So yeah, I roll them. I would think he would roll them up, and they describe him
100%.
always pulling out his maps and rolling them everywhere, and then seeing what he's got going on. And of course, none of his pouches would match. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't think anything on him matches.
Yeah.
There's like there shouldn't be any real major symmetry on Tasselhoff. I thought,
100%.
well, I would think that.
We saw Lorana before. This is a full
Mhm.
360 view of Lorana, which is just great. I like her smile. She's got a really, really nice smile, which sort of fits. Have you ever and the blades, this is a very sort of like Tolkien elven view of the blades, that they're like sort of slightly curved, and like that's what I loved about the Lord of the Rings films, is all of the blades in different cultures looked like they sort of belonged to that culture. And I like even Filthaz's was sort of arced. Well, it was heavily arced
Yep.
back. This one's slightly arced as well. I love that.
Well, her sword is based off of I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's a Yagatan. It's a Middle Eastern type blade.
Hmm.
It can be, they're like it can be either long daggers or short swords, and they're one-handed weapons. So it's kind of based off that sort of curve. So that's even where the Tolkien people got it. They got it basically from that culture.
Right.
And I just kind of expanded on it and added some elvish motifs like horses, the horse master. You know, I see a lot of, like, Gilthanas has got the unicorn on his chest, on his garment. So I imagine that's the forest master, and I imagine the elves would have a lot of respect and reverence on this immortal unicorn that travels around in their area. Like, they obviously would have some kind of relationship with it. So I thought I would roll with that and do other things. And, you know, with her belt, it's a bunch of gold leaves. Right? In the other literature, you see she's got a gold belt discs, right? And there's a wooden scabbard on her dagger. So I decided, well, maybe it wouldn't be gold circular discs, it would be leaves. The discs would be leaves, right? And then, you know, I was just trying to keep what design elements made sense, and then, or expand on them, but then make it a little more elvish.
Right. No, it looks great. Hey, Injin Joe, thanks for tuning in, man. He says Tasselhoff was called Tasselhoff because Kender and Ergoth have short hair, and they never had seen a Kender with long ponytail, which is why the top not in the ponytail thing. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Ranger, thanks for tuning in. All those things were passed down from father and son before him, so that's why they're all eclectic. Mark, thanks for tuning in. Wish they would do a Dragonlance movie, high production like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, me too. It would be money. They would make money hand over fist.
Someday. You know, we'll just keep the dream alive right here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The big question for Mike. Laurana, Tika, Silvara, Goldmoon. F, marry, kill.
Oh, I don't like playing that game.
Your wife's not watching, right?
Yeah. You know, it depends, because they're all just very beautiful ladies. I mean, I think a lot of people, Tika's probably most realistic of a person.
Right.
You know, she's just an average, everyday girl. You know, Goldmoon's this princess and priestess and and then Laurana's a princess. I don't know if I have much in common with those girls to sit down, you know, for very long.
Yeah. Ironically, they're not into Dragonlance.
Yeah.
They're like, nerd. That's a tough one because you have 4. So F, marry, kill, or FF, marry, kill. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't want to kill any of them. I like them. You know, Kitara, I'll kill her. I'm fine with that. Let's throw her
I feel like
in there,
she
right?
gets hers in the end anyway, so I'd like to have some fun before she dies. So.
Yeah.
And
they're all
I bet
beautiful.
she'd be good. I mean, she's had experience, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be worried about.
Yeah, wrap it for sure.
Been good. Yeah, I definitely have to go get some. Go visit the doctor after seeing.
Get some penicillin boosters and wrap it a couple times, and you'll have some fun.
Yeah, she's not a classy lady. Put it that way.
Wow, Ohana. See, and Ohana always threw me because she was all dark hair, and I never ever once pictured any elf with like black or super brown hair, like dark brown hair. I always imagined them as sort of like auburn or blonde, you know, sort of flighty and light and whatever. So Ohana was always like a diamond in the rough whenever I saw her portrayed in like a comic or something like that. She looks stunning here, though. I mean, there's just the way that you did that headdress and the sort of the hair and the reserved countenance. I mean, really, really nice. Nice job.
I kind of went a little different than how she's described in the book, because they describe her with so many layers of robes, you can't even tell what she looks like, in a veil and just all that stuff. But then in the games, she's wearing armor and a sword, and you can use her as a player character for a while. Just if you're flying across the continent on the back of Griffin, would you wear a big billowy dress with all that other stuff? You know, this seemed more like practical riding clothes, but still warm. And you know, I didn't do the veil. I just didn't see it working with this type of outfit, but she can still hide her face under the hood if she needs to. Just wear the hood up and over. Yeah. Definitely going for more medieval European look for her.
Yeah.
Than something else. But I enjoy doing her, and she's a character too that there's not a lot of illustration of her, and I like that. I like being able to tackle some of these characters we have really seen that much before.
Yeah. I like it just because there aren't examples, and so we get to visualize. There's the text that everyone seems to interpret in slightly different ways, and then there's interpretations, artistic interpretations, which really bring this whole new scope to the characters, and I really really like that. I mean, just like in different stories, characters are portrayed in different ways, and so I'm not one of those people who's like a firm stickler, like, well, this is how this artist interpreted the character, so that's the only way to interpret it, especially with characters who don't have that. So I really like that you're tackling these less portrayed characters so that we can get a sense of them, visually. I think it's great.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you like it.
Ramen, thanks for tuning in. He just finished the autumn, spring, and winter books. So fun to read. Now you're on to Test of the Twins. Nice. Those are great ones. I hope you enjoy them.
Enjoy. Those good books.
Yeah. And we've got the cousin, separated from Ohana, but we've got the brother of Lorana, Gilthanas. I love that unicorn. That's great. That I would have that as a tattoo.
Yeah, well, I was kind of going off of some Celtic designs I had seen, and trying to, like, because there is a unicorn on his outfit, and it's pretty well established design. I think Elmore designed it, but I thought I would, like, there's so much Celtic influence in Dragonlance, and I want to insert it whenever I can, just to keep it, keep that flavor to the world, that this is Dragonlance. There's Celtic in there whenever I can find a spot to put it. So that's what I did with him.
Nice. I'm a little bummed with Gilthanas personally. I just finished reading the Odyssey of Gilthanas, which is the last novel written about after he and Silvara separate from Calaman, and they just go years and years trying to rediscover each other. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it yet, but I was not happy with the ending.
I don't read those books just because of that. It's like my knowledge, like, I think where their relationship ends up for me is undetermined. After, like, we don't ever find out. No one knows. Did they work it out or didn't they? I don't know. That's, in my mind, I just like that better, the mystery, because I like them as characters, and I think their story's cool. And I haven't heard a version of their story that sounds like anyone really is happy with. So let's just pretend until someone writes a better version. I'm like,
Raistlin.
Here we got Mass. Yeah, I wanted to do. I like him. He's a really important character, but I didn't want to show him as. This is when he's basically just taken the test. He's just starting on the adventure. So this is when we first see him in the book.
Right.
He's not that intimidating. He's kind of weak. And he's frail. I think he might die at any minute, but he still keeps going. And I spent some time on the staff trying to figure out how that, Dragon's Claw would work, holding the crystal and what the crystal looks like. It's been described, like, in my imagination, it's always a blue crystal, but it's actually described as yellow. Some of the other literature, and I just kept it blue because I like blue, but it brings some contrast. Otherwise, it's all red and yellow and kind of one color. I wanted to add some sort of variety to the design to make it pop.
Yeah, I like how it plays off of his vials on his hanging from his belt as well.
Yeah, you have that. They play off each other. Also, I didn't want to give them the big robes that we see him in traditionally. Like, it's always the same look, the robes that are down to his ankles with the cloak, and not that I don't like that look, but it's kind of become a bit of a trope when it comes to any wizard. They all look kind of the same. And I was thinking him and Carmen are third and fourth. He's just only now officially become part of, like, he passed the test. He's officially a wizard now. Or mage. He's still doing his thing. He's just the beginning of his journey, and I kind of wanted to show that he's him and Carmen. They're just getting by.
Right.
I think they're not. He can't afford those big robes with all the other stuff, or nor does he need them.
Yeah. No, I think it works. Even though he's a young man, his face looks aged. And I like the idea that after the trials and tribulations of the test, you're near death, that it's not just a, your pretty young face with gold skin. No, it like aged you. It physically took its toll on you, and your health has always been poor anyway, and so your skin is a little, frail and pasty, and so I think this is a really great interpretation of the character. Nice.
Great, thank you.
Mark says Raceland definitely was the most interesting character in the series in his opinion. Yeah, he was great. Okay, so we're going back to the beginning. So we saw those. Let's see what we can. We only have a couple minutes left. I want to see who's next in this here. Ah, there's Tika. I love Tika. I think Tika's great. I like this especially because her face is so young. Just like she would have been. I mean, she was like 18, maybe
18 or 19.
Yeah.
No, she's really not. She's totally out of her depth through the whole story, and she's very young. She's the youngest member of the group, and whenever she's depicted, they depict her as this warrior woman kind of thing. Right. She's muscly and broader features, and she's beautiful, but she's not. I wanted to show how she's a refugee from Solus who's got caught up in this adventure.
Right.
And she learns how to fight along the way, and it's a journey of self-discovery for her, but it's mostly about her and Carmen's relationship and her relationship with Raslin, trying to find her, like, appease Raslin to get in Carmen's good books. Like, there's that sort of dynamic, that relationship dynamic, which is probably why she's on the cover of the third novel. Right. But yeah, I wanted to show her as a younger person, more in tune with how she was in the books.
Yeah.
And her armor too, I wanted it to look less like scrap metal found here and there in battle, and more like, and I think we spoke about this before, but she gets her helmet and her shield originally from the Queen of Quilhonesty. Like, this is the royal armory type stuff, right? But they didn't have enough for her to do a full suit, so they gave her a chainmail, this, and the helmet, and the shield, and a sword. And I think she can pick up the other pieces along the way, like the leg armor and a shoulder piece, just to keep that aesthetic. But she would have, like, if it came from the Queen, it's got to be like really high quality, nice looking stuff, which even makes it look more out of place with her, because she's just this young person who's like, I'd rather hit you with my shield than with the sword, because she doesn't know what she's doing.
She's just a motley collection of whatever she can grab in the moment. There is a pretty dramatic question here. Where's the frying pan?
Yeah, I've been asked that, and I've thought about doing a version. There's a version I've done of her in just her barmaid costume, and I've thought about adding a frying pan to that. But I might, like, you can keep revisiting these over and over and over again. But I did do an illustration of her whacking a draconian with a frying pan, so nice. I hope that splits the difference.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. All right, yes. So we're getting into the final images here. I'm not sure we're gonna have time to go through them all, but Baz Draconian. I mean, this is the first Draconians they run across, I think, in the robes on the road between Solace and Haven. Well, before they deviate to Darkenwood. I mean, they're just gnarly looking. Those.
Yeah, well, they're. I think of them as like deformed mutant things. Not like, there's got to be some sort of corruption to them. Like the wings, just like they're shriveled. He's really only a few years old. He's just pure evil. That's all Draconians are. A corrupted a brass dragon. Like, they're just the egg. How many instead of thinking like how many Draconians come from one brass dragon egg, I would think a whole clutch.
It's a lot. It's like a
lot,
10 to 100 or something like that.
Yeah, like a lot come out of one egg, and just. I was just, those are the things I'm thinking about. And I was referencing some of the earlier. So if you look at the modules, the Draconian designs on DL1 are different than they are, say, DL6. They kind of refine them a bit more as they go. And I kind of wanted to go a little bit back to how they were in DL1. And the Baz were really depicted as skinny. And they are the weakest ones, right? They're the foot soldier type. But like skinny and weaselly and... gross. And a lot of their equipment, I've noticed a lot of the equipment that they use for weapons for these guys, it's very Bronze Age type stuff, like solid cuirass and a helmet, and then those like leather. I don't know. I can't remember the term, but for the skirt, it's like leather straps. Um, Someone help me out here. There's a name for it. I just don't remember what it is.
Yeah, in
And
the
they fought with
chat, do you guys
spears.
know? I don't know what the leather skirt is
Well, there's
called.
like a very specific name for them, but I just can't think of it. And another way too, because they don't really talk about this, but how do the different dragon armies differentiate themselves? What kind of heraldry do they have? Like, how do you know this is a Baz from the Reds and this is a Baz from the Blues and this is a Baz from the Blacks? And I got to thinking how this army was built relatively quickly and equipped relatively quickly. So they don't have a lot of material. So I was thinking, like, historically, maybe the cordage to hold everything together, like that's made out of some sort of fiber instead of leather, and they dye it for whatever color to suit whatever dragon army.
Interesting.
So he's in the red dragon army, so he's got red lacings and he's got red leather and red straps. Just one way I was thinking, how can we tell them apart? Because otherwise, how would you? Like, if you have just it's always hard on the battlefield in medieval times to tell people apart anyways, but you would want to have that cohesion for any military. We all look kind of the same. It's part of a unit's cohesion.
Yeah. Chris is saying Terracuse. Is it Terugs? I don't know how to say that word in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah. DXD says he thinks it's 20 Baz per egg. Yeah, it's a bunch of them for sure. Yeah. Byzantine says Derek Ranch. Yeah, I don't know. You could tell me it's Fluffernutter, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, that works. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we are going to have to end it there. We got to stop sometime. I got some family games to be playing after this. But Mike, it is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your amazing work.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time, and anytime, we still got lots more characters to go through. So
yeah,
anytime you want to, just let me know.
All right, well, people in the chat, let us know what was your favorite character that was portrayed here. Is there something that you would love to see him tackle? And if he decided to put together a calendar or an art book, would you be down to pick it up, buy it and help support this whole project that he's doing? Let us know in the comments. Once again, thank you very much, Mike, for joining. And then for everyone else, feel free to email any of those questions if you either leave them in the chat or you can email them at info@dealsaga.com. I will pass everything along. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga. So thank you so much for joining in that celebration. So for Mike and myself, this is Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Slán Javar.